Today's video, we're going to talk about why setting a max CPC is dumb. Don't use maximize clicks with the maximize cost per click limit at the same time. Or at least, to keep it simple, just don't use maximize clicks bidding strategy at all in favor for manual bidding. I'm going to explain exactly why that is in today's video here, so you actually can get the best results out of Google Ads. Given that it does certainly matter which bidding strategy you choose and how you bid, pretty much more than anything else that you're doing right now, in terms of how much money you're going to make past. Of course, I would say, your ad and your landing page, that's your biggest thing that you need to focus on. You need to know the difference in your bidding strategies, of course, but also this common mistake people make, arbitrarily limiting their cost per click on their keywords is stopping them from making half of the other money that they should be making with their ads, practically speaking, over time. So I'm going to explain why that is and what your much better alternative is with your ads instead. So with that said, getting into the content here, Google really does know the value of each keyword that you're bidding on because they use all the previous advertisers' tracking data, to be able to know what to charge even for a certain keyword to begin with. They have, at the beginning, I've been around since 2005 advertising on Google Ads. It's 20 years now altogether. And back in the day, it really was a bidding system. It was great. If nobody was bidding on a certain keyword, you could pay 5 cents a click, and a legitimate auction system. Nowadays, it's not an auction system primarily. It is an auction system. That auction system only makes up about a third, I would say, overall, as to how much Google is going to decide to charge you per click, or you get charged per click, or what it takes to show up in a certain position on the, for your keywords on Google's search results. What they've done in efforts to please shareholders at Google is they've taken all of the data about all the other advertisers that have ever advertised for a certain keyword, and they play games to try to see if they can get more out of a click or not, and they find out basically what the market's willing to bear for a click on a certain keyword. They also do this based upon Google's their customers' conversion data as well. So if a certain keyword converts better than another keyword in the same niche, they're going to certainly charge more for that. And they know that also, in addition to everything else, when they have smart bidding going on, the smart bidding algorithm running on your competition's ads, they're already trying to figure out what the value of each keyword is. They know what percentage or what rate a certain keyword converts versus another keyword. And with that said, they ultimately then know, already before you come to the plate in terms of advertising with Google, they already know what they could charge your competitor for each keyword because they've seen how that keyword converts. And where a keyword converts better than average, they actually charge that competitor that you've had more for that keyword. So as here you come along and trying to advertise, they already know for every keyword what the conversion rate basically is, what its likely usefulness is. If you're in a more mature market, they're also going to know the lead closing rate percentages, the ROI on it as well, with revenue and opportunity level data that other advertisers feed into their ad account. But even if they don't have that, they're going to have data about how long somebody who searches for one keyword stays on a website versus another keyword, which would correlate or trend with profitability. Given that if somebody's on a site for longer after searching a keyword and clicking on an ad, they're more likely to be a customer than somebody who isn't. They know really, really well, because they've been tracking this data for so long and they've got really powerful algorithms to analyze this stuff. What is the likely profitability of a keyword versus another keyword in a niche? So when you advertise and you tell Google ultimately to limit what you're willing to pay for a click on a keyword to an arbitrary amount, you're limiting yourself essentially to the worst traffic in your niche. A lot of people don't think like this. They think cheaper is better. You get what you pay for when it comes to Google Ads clicks. The best clicks are going to be the most expensive clicks in terms of assumed conversion rate and profitability per click, if you will, or should I say revenue per click. The cheaper keywords ultimately are going to convert less and have less potential for revenue behind them from the customers you get. And everything kind of equals out at the end of the day. If you limit what you're paying per click, you're just going to limit yourself to part of the traffic. And the part of the traffic that you are limiting yourself to, it's going to be the traffic that converts the least and is worth the least amount of money in terms of future sales you can predict that you're going to earn off of those clicks and leads / prospects. So that is the major thing that you have to understand as you're trying to decide, use a maximum cost per click limit on your campaigns or not, which I'm going to tell you here not to use at all, ever, a limit unless you are, and you're going to do it on a case-by-case basis, essentially. Sometimes Google does get a little wrong. I mean, they're not perfect. For some niches, they'll say you have to pay, if your average, what you were paying per click to show up for most of your keywords was $30 a click, they may say for this one keyword over here, you have to pay $200. And it's a little wonky. It seems wonky just by looking at the keyword. Even as a seasoned person that's managed under hundreds of accounts, I could tell there's no way that this particular keyword converts 8 times better than this one. The difference would be like kitchen remodeling company at $30 a click, kitchen remodeling contractor, $200. I know this contractor one is better, but is it 8 times better? I don't think so. And so in that situation, you could override what I'm telling you here and say, hey, I'm not going to pay $200 for this particular keyword because it doesn't make logical sense that it would convert into a customer and be worth 8 times more per click than this other one, which, by the way, it's worth probably, that's a real scenario where it's worth 3 to 4 or 5 times as much because when somebody types in contractor, they are a more serious prospect than someone who types in company. And Google's picked up on this, and which is why some of the keywords cost so much. Okay, that one little discrepancy when we're talking about over time and statistics here. So for that matter, you could limit, but I'll tell you from experience, we target a lot of keywords on our campaigns because that's what's going to get you the best results. Lots of keywords, unique ads for the different keywords, unique landing pages for the different keywords. That gets the most results. And I don't care what anybody else says. I know the truth because I've tested it both ways and run dozens of campaigns at any given time. So, and I don't do extra work for fun. So if in a market like kitchen remodeling, there's 180 different keyword variants for kitchen remodeling that we found in the total universe of keywords that we can actually bid on, that Google won't say keyword volume too low to bid on this keyword. Of those 180 keywords, 2 or 3 out of 180 will say that we have to pay more than $100 a click to be eligible to have this keyword show, whereas the average is right around $30 a click. So there's not going to even be that many keywords that Google's totally got it wrong, if you will. You might add it in for one service or one product. There might be 1 or 2 where you're like, I don't know. I'll just, I'm willing to pay $90 a click, not $200 here. And ultimately what's going to happen is, Google is going to run that keyword anyway on a limited basis. And then if your ad performs well and your landing page performs well, then the requirement of what it takes to show up for that keyword is going to go down. So instead of it costing $200, assuming you're going to do what the typical advertiser does with their quality of ads and quality of landing pages, it really only cost you $90. And so you never had to go through the process of paying this exorbitant price per click for this keyword, because later on they were going to charge you less for that keyword anyway because you have a higher ad rank, and you got a higher ad rank now because they tested you out on a small scale basis on some of the lower performing traffic, or you were getting to show up on the bottom of the page. Because ultimately, if let's say Google says that they want you to pay $90 per click to get it to show on the first page, and you bid $70, they'll still show you. And the reason for that, by the way, is because they're going to take that keyword's traffic, find the portion of the traffic that performs the least, and get you to show up for that portion. So they'll give you the remnant traffic, which is why, by the way, you don't want to bid. Your goal is to bid as much as possible, because the best traffic, even within a keyword's traffic, is the traffic that's going to be the most expensive, which is why manual bidding doesn't make any sense anymore, because Google, with their smart bidding algorithms, are going to identify on a keyword level what is the portion of the people searching for this keyword that are profitable and not profitable, who's more profitable, who's less profitable, who's not profitable at all. And when you tell Google you're willing to take a 500% return on investment on this keyword here through your, using maximize conversion value bidding strategy, then essentially what they're going to do is give you every opportunity at the cost that that it's worth, if you will. So it'll take the 10% of the best traffic on that keyword, charge you a lot more per click, but it's worth it because it converts 10 times better than the other portion of the traffic. And the traffic that doesn't convert as well, they're going to charge you less per click, but knowing that at the end of the day, they're still going to get you the 500% ROI. Whereas when you do manual bidding, none of this inner keyword optimization happens, if you will. So, and I get, all the time questions about, with smart bidding, why is the cost per click so high all of a sudden, or today, or whatever? With the exception that the campaign went back into learning mode, it's just because short term, Google saw there was a bunch of better quality prospects that came in to Google, and they charged you more for those prospects, knowing they could get away with it, yes, but because at the end of the day, your cost per qualified lead that you're saying that you want, or cost per sale that you want, or cost or ROI or ROAS that you want, they could still deliver that, even though they were charging you more per click. So your goal is to pay as much per click as you can, because that gets you the higher quality traffic, as long as it gets you the ROI that you want still. And so therefore, cost per click really is a vanity metric now. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Now, that said, I will say that your cost per click should overall go down over time from when you launch a campaign, if you've done things right with your ads and landing pages, because you're gonna have higher ad rank and they are gonna charge you less. But just in general, what you're charged per click, to evaluate one keyword's effectiveness or value to your business over another is irrelevant. It only matters how well it converts, and that's it. So I don't even pay attention to cost per click. I like to show our clients that it's going down, proving our ad ranks going up as a result of that, because they're directly correlated to one another. But to say our cost per click went down or up over a 30-day period, that's short-term fluctuations in the traffic quality that's going to cause that, if you will. I want to pay as much per click as I can, because the more I pay per click, the better quality click I get, and the higher the percentage of chance I'm going to show up, given that still there is some element of an auction system with Google Ads, in that the higher you bid, the higher the chance you're going to show up, the higher in the list you're going to show up, which gets you more clicks, the bigger the ad you're going to be able to get from Google as well. So I don't care necessarily what the cost per click is. I just care that the keyword converts and I get the ROI that I want at the end of the day. Therefore, don't limit your cost per click, because you're going to limit yourself to traffic that doesn't convert as bad. You're going to limit yourself to traffic that doesn't convert as much, and only get part of the sales essentially at the end of the day that you could have got. And with the exception of one-offs where you could see clearly the algorithm didn't get it right. It didn't understand that it overvalued a certain keyword, and you can block one or two from going with this, what Google suggests, so to say. Better though option, as I talked about at the very start of this video, for you, instead of using maximize clicks bidding strategy, is to use manual bidding, because manual bidding is going to get you a better quality of traffic than maximize clicks. I get this question all the time. Corey, should I use maximize clicks to start out with, or maximize clicks better than manual CPC bidding? And maximize clicks is not all bad, but what happens with maximize clicks is it does exactly what it advertises. It's going to maximize your clicks, which means it's going to decrease your quality of clicks to get clicks to go up. Whereas with manual bidding, it's not going to just have what your ad showing up for weird, less competitive terms, less productive terms, just to get your clicks up. You don't want that. You want quality. Quantity means nothing. Quality means everything. So maximize clicks, you get just the clicks on the keywords that you want. And then if you aren't getting enough clicks yet, you raise the cost per click itself, and that'll get you more clicks. And it'll get you more clicks from the quality of clicks that you want, or quality of people that you want, versus going wider and getting more clicks at a cheaper rate with maximize clicks, which is what it's going to do. Because people will use maximize clicks to get more clicks, and think because they're putting a low max cost per click limit that they're doing themselves a big favor. Oh, I can get a whole bunch of clicks at $2 a click. Whereas with manual bidding, I couldn't get clicks, or with manual bidding, I had to pay $5 a click or $10 a click. I'm not going to pay Google that. They're just really, screwing themselves here, because you're not going to get the best prospects. And when you're struggling to make an ROI with your campaigns, the easiest way to make it work is to bid high enough so that you actually are showing up for the most qualified prospects in your space. Mainly pertains to service businesses, because there's a big difference between one person who searches for kitchen remodeling and another. And Google has a pretty good read on the people that come through, who's serious, who's not, who's a whale, who's not. And when you're paying a low cost per click, you're not going to bid high enough, because they want to sell those really good whale customers to the person who has the most money. Why would they not? So you could set your arbitrary limit on your cost per click. You're just going to now get only the guppy type clients. And we're not in business mostly to get the small clients, right? It's defeating the whole purpose of what we're doing. So I use manual bidding instead of maximize clicks. I set the keyword bids to whatever it takes to get the keywords to show up on the first page, so that under the status column, it doesn't say keyword bid too low. And if I'm not spending our clients' monthly ad budget that we've allocated to spend up front to get things going, usually it's around $3K a month. We'll start out with 90% of clients, and we'll just double the keyword bids on all the keywords, which you can select all, increase bids by 100%. If that doesn't get our budget spent, we'll do it again and keep doing it until our budget's spent. Then, once we are easily spending our monthly budget, then we walk it back the other way. We are going to lower the cost per click 25%, 50%, until we are able to get our budget spent so we can get our budget spent and still get as many clicks as we can, which kind of contradicts what I said before. But at the same time, essentially, once you kind of get some data on your campaigns, even if it's 2 weeks or 4 weeks worth of data, you're not going to need the same cost per click as what you had before to get your budget spent, because Google's already going to start requiring you to pay less per click if your click-through rate is higher than the competition, even after a couple weeks. So sometimes we'll have to set the cost per click, like in the home remodeling space, to $150 a click short term to juice the system to get the thing going, get some clicks. Then we'll go back down to a normal amount, like $50 a click, once we've done that and the ball's rolling already for us, if you will. That's very common that we'll do that. And then we'll wait for 5 or 10 conversions to come through. Then we'll just switch it over to maximize conversions bidding strategy. Given that, then the algorithm can take over and ultimately get us more leads at a similar cost per conversion, whereas manual bidding is not really set up to do that. Manual bidding's job is to really get the campaign going full steam, given that it's, particularly in competitive markets, hard to get the initial impressions on your campaign because there's established players. Google's going to prefer to show them. You're going to break your way in with it by using that technique I talked about, where you're doubling the bids again until you break through and you're getting your budget spent, and then you're walking it back. And then once you've got enough credibility with Google where they're basically saying, yes, I want to run this guy's ads because it gets good click-through rates, they have decent dwell time on their landing page, time on site, conversion rates, that kind of thing. You don't need the super high bids anymore. You're using the super high bids to kind of really get Google's attention. Then you use that attention to get some initial conversions. Then you tell Google, okay, do get us more of what just came through as far as conversions, and then it'll start going up into the right predictably. You'll get more conversions on an ongoing basis, and the amount of conversions you get every month should just keep going up for the 6, 12, 18 months into the future. That's how at our agency, we found the most efficient way to get campaigns started. Not using maximize clicks bidding strategy with a limit. We're paying as much cost per click as we need to get the system started. Then we're going to maximize conversions or maximize conversion value bidding strategy, of which, by the way, we're going to optimize for leads until we have enough qualified leads to optimize for qualified leads. And then once we have enough sales to optimize for sales, we're going to optimize for qualified leads until then. And then once we've generated sales, we're going to enough sales, that is like at least 30 sales, 100 sales, more so like 100, we're gonna switch our campaigns to optimize purely for sales. And then that's gonna get you the most results of all. You gotta do offline conversion tracking to do this. But respectively, that's how you kind of walk through the whole process. You're starting out with no data, no credibility with Google. You use manual bidding to get, force Google to take you seriously at the beginning instead of waiting forever to get clicks, not using maximize clicks bidding strategy and get a bunch of weird clicks. Then you get some conversions, then you tell them to optimize for the conversions you got, that is leads, then qualified leads, then sales. Or if you're in e-commerce, you can just optimize for cart visits at first, then sales later on. And it's the same kind of, waterfall kind of process where you go from optimizing for one until you have enough sales to optimize for sales and then keep going up the value chain, if you will. So with that said, I know it can be difficult and overwhelming to understand how Google's algorithm works, but I promise you, once you understand it, it'll be worth it, because your competition doesn't have the slightest clue about how Google Ads' algorithm works in reality. And our job as an advertising manager at our firm here now is really just to help clients deal with the algorithm, because it's not that complicated to put together a campaign at all. Anybody can make an ad and landing page, maybe not good, but what they don't understand is what changes to make, when to make them, how soon to make them, what's the minimum time you need to wait before you make another change, what's the size of change you can make, what's learning mode. Because if you don't know this stuff, your campaigns are just going to constantly be in flux and you're never going to get anywhere. So I go over all in detail about these things that I know intimately from managing dozens of campaigns, so you can actually understand how it works, and then you will have an edge on everybody else in your market. Whereas everybody else is complaining that the results are so erratic, yours are very stable and they continuously get better. So with that, you should subscribe to the channel, because I have tons of information on that, as well as tons of other things that are going to make you a multi-millionaire running ads for your business. Just take a minute and subscribe to the channel. You'll do yourself a big favor doing that. Furthermore, you should check out my blog on my site at guaranteedppc.com/blog. My blog has step-by-step information on how to actually make more money from ads using our strategies that we use to guarantee our clients results. You can find the step-by-step instructions with the screenshots and everything that you need to use them. I've got those there as well. So if you like the channel, you should check that blog out. You'll like that as well. If you have any questions about anything I've covered here, or any marketing or advertising related question, you can always leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. With that said, getting back to what I was saying here again, just to kind of sum this up. With Google Ads, you always get what you pay for, if you will. The most expensive clicks convert at the highest rate. That's just how it is 99% of the time. Google's very smart at identifying where an opportunity exists. What they're really doing is auctioning off an opportunity. They see somebody who's been searching for the last 3 weeks for home remodeling companies, what to know about hiring a home remodeling company, and then they go to type in home remodeling company. That person's 10 times as valuable than somebody who just typed in home remodeling company and never did any prior research. The likelihood of that person buying versus not buying versus the other one. And so Google, in order to increase their revenue over the years, has focused on their algorithms to identify and then value these opportunities so they can auction them off at the highest possible rate or money possible. And so more than trying to just arbitrarily dictate or say what something is worth, what something is worth is really what money it will bring in at the end of the day. And so you got to, in order to, the modern day way to run Google Ads is to feed Google the data about what is working for you, what's not, make it the best quality data you can, and then just tell Google what you want in terms of a financial outcome at the end of the day. People buck that advice because they think that if they tell Google what they're getting, that Google is going to take advantage of them. And my suggestion to them is to say, well, ultimately they can play these games, but if all you do is say to Google, I want 1,000% return, and you feed them the data about what your return is, and they want to suddenly start charging you more, well, ultimately the system is set up in which you're just going to stop playing the game. So they know they can only get away with so much. Actually, arguably get taken advantage of more is when you don't do that, you just stick with manual bidding, and they're just going to basically yank they're going to charge you arbitrarily more per click on an ongoing basis, stop showing your ads to see if you can react and raise your bids again to get shown again. If you do it, they're going to do it to you again and again and again. Because you have no actual limit on how much you're willing to pay in terms of the value it brings. You just have a limit on what you're paying and that's it. Whereas the limit should be placed on what you're making, not what you're paying per click itself. If you want somebody to set up your ads so that consistently your results are consistent, so you don't have to deal with this, I mean, we offer a white glove service where we're gonna do it all for you at our agency, and we're not gonna charge you any fees until you get a certain minimum lift in your profitability up front. We do this for all new clients starting out. If you wanna see what we can do for you in terms of results, I can get you an 8-quarter projection of results at our firm if you reach out to me, and I can have a conversation with you about this to put this together. You can reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. I also have ad templates available. If you're in a niche market that we've been in already, we can sell you the winning ads, landing pages, campaign templates, and so forth that will work for your market. If you're in a different city or country that our client's been in and you don't compete with them directly, you can use it for yourself. And it's much easier to use that than, of course, go through all the process that we had to go through to find out how to get the great results in your niche market already. I also do coaching and consulting on the side. By the way, if you have a one-off question or something that you want to go over in detail, reach out to me and book a call. I'm very good at spotting issues with certain strategies or plans. Before you roll out a big strategy, run it past me and find out the odds of it working. You can save yourself a lot of money, a lot of time doing that before you just randomly pick something, given that more than likely whatever you've done, I've done already and can tell you about my experiences doing it already. So reach out to me if you're interested in that as well. For that matter, again, manual bidding is your friend, not maximize clicks bidding strategy. And certainly your goal isn't to pay as little per click as you can, but as much as you can, given that the more you pay per click, the more action you're actually going to be able to get and the higher quality user that you're going to get at the end of the day. And when you're not making money, it's very hard, take it from me, making money going cheaper on the cost per click, because the clicks at the bottom, when you're scraping the bottom of the barrel for clicks, it's basically traffic that doesn't even convert at all. And you're just never going to get anywhere. Whereas the most expensive, the tippity top of the quality spectrum of the clicks, it is expensive, but that's where most of the money is from the big whale customers who are likely to convert. And you may be able to get some value in some markets on the bottom of the barrel people. In some markets, it's pure junk, especially in lead generation, and especially in B2B service lead generation, I've seen where you even get the bottom half at all, there's no value there at all. They're still gonna sell you those clicks, but there's just no people there that are gonna buy. If you wanna talk to other guys and gals about these strategies, you can obviously, there's a link in the video description here of a Discord group where I'm in there answering questions and talking amongst the other viewers of this channel about PPC strategies, online advertising strategies. There's a free PPC course in there if you are entering there that I'm offering, at least for now, for free, just as a thank you for joining the group. But it's a really good group. It has people talking not on the basic stuff, but there's even intermediary and advanced strategies going on in there as well. So you should check that out. And furthermore, I'm looking for companies to invest in right now. If you have a company that you feel like it's got you have the best product or service in class, but if you just had the right advertising, you would do extremely well. Well, in that case, if that's you, I'm looking to work with you and invest in your company. That is, give you a cash infusion to run more ads, also put together your ads for you, manage them, in exchange for a small piece of your company and a piece of your future revenue growth in your company. We've invested in several companies like this so far, of which are doing very, very well, of which we can tell you up front how well they're doing if you reach out to me at my firm. But if you think you have something that is good enough that I would be willing to put my money down on your company, because I know the advertising that we have and the strategies we have would work to blow that company up, I want to talk to you. So reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com if you're interested in bringing on an investor and a marketing agency to partner with directly like this. But I'm going to wrap everything up with that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. If you want to see another video, click here. It is one of my best ones.